This is Markin Out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Follow on Twitter. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Marking Out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Brennan likes fisting. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. We're marking out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans.
Welcome to Markin Out, Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. This is episode 736. That is right, 736. Make sure that you're checking out markinout.com. Give us a download and subscription and give us a 5-star rating to go with that 5-star frog splash over at iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, and Spotify, and wherever else you may be listening to your podcasts. Buy a t-shirt over at prowrestlingtees.com/markinout. Also, make sure that you give us a like on Facebook, give us a follow on TikTok at markinout, and also follow us on Instagram at markinout11, and TikTok, already said, Twitter. Follow on Twitter at Markin Out. Also, you can follow me, myself, and I on all social media platforms at DavidPTDPT. You can follow Chris at Chris Weendog on Twitter and CMSweeney85 on Instagram. And you can follow also on all social media platforms. He comes at you every single week, Mr. No Days Off. Because that is what this podcast means to him. Just as all of you mean the world to him, we all know that he means the world to you. That's right, it's Brandon, BTTG161. Brandon, how are you?
I'm doing awesome as always. I thought you were about to introduce me like a boxer and start giving my weight. He comes to you, weighing at such and such.
Yeah, no. I was not going to do that. But tell me,
But tell me, how much do you weigh?
How much does this guy weigh?
I'm not ashamed of my weight.
No, never be. Never be. I don't care what people say. Never.
What does that mean?
I'm just saying never. No matter what, ever.
So how was your week?
My week was good. I am exhausted. Totally exhausted. Ready for sleep.
Is your brain scrambled?
It is purely scrambled. Purely.
You're exhausted?
Oh, nice. Nice. I did not get that.
It went over your head?
It did.
Pretty easy to do that?
You know, it did. There's no sunny side up on this side. I am ready to crash with sleep.
Just how I love my eggs crashed.
Well, tell me, your week, how was it?
It was good. I flew down to Florida last Wednesday, stayed at Disney's Port Orleans French Quarter again.
Oh, nice.
This time it was a river view room. They were renovating the garden room view that I normally get.
I'm sorry?
It was nice. It was a bit of a trek from where I would like to be, but it wasn't terrible. But the rooms were, I think they were just renovated last year, so it was a surprise to see how different it looked. Mm-hmm. Not like super different, but it was different enough to be like, oh, wow, this is not what I was expecting to walk into. But you can get the boats to Riverside and Disney Springs if you need to, which was like right by the room, so that was good, like a little quick walk there. Thursday, I went to Magic Kingdom. And I hit most of the rides that I'd want to. And it was quite cold in Florida.
How cold are we talking here?
It was like 60s, 50s.
Oh, no, we don't like that.
Honestly, though, I would much rather prefer being freezing cold than burning hot. Mm-hmm. Because, like, I who would prefer the heat like that?
Yeah, no, it gets a little bit too much.
On Friday, I went to Hollywood Studios. I did Tower of Terror, and I went to Muppet Vision 3D for one more time.
One more time?
I don't think I'll be going back before it closes in June, so it's going to suck when they close because literally all I go to Hollywood Studios for that I enjoy is Tower of Terror and Muppet Vision 3D.
Mm-hmm.
I also, after that, went to the Boardwalk and got a pickle dog, which is a corn dog, but the hot dog is stuffed inside of a pickle.
That sounds interesting.
And it's served with peanut butter. Which, it was good, but I don't see the point of that.
I don't know how I feel about that.
It was completely fine, but it just doesn't make it wasn't necessary to have the peanut butter.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if I was going to go to the corn dog stand there again on the Boardwalk, I would probably just get a plain one because the batter for the cornbread portion of it was pretty good. I might even say it was probably the best corn dog coating I've ever had on a corn dog.
Wow. Well, I'll definitely say is that I feel like that's one thing I didn't take advantage of was I didn't get a chance to explore and eat as much as I would have wanted to there.
Right.
I know, but
I always feel like that though.
Yeah, there's a lot there to eat. Do they often add stuff to the menu a lot?
Throughout Disney World?
Yeah. Like does it have like a rotating menu?
Disney World? What are you asking right now?
Yeah. Disney.
All these places are individual places.
Oh, okay.
What I don't even know what the thought process behind that was.
Like each place, right? Each eatery. Do they usually rotate what's on the menu, or does it usually just stick to do they usually
for the
have
most part? For the most part, it's the same. I know the Brown Derby in Hollywood Studios just got a new menu, but that's where the rich people go eat.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to the Brown Derby, but the other places get new items here and there.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like every month it should be something new.
I don't think that's really feasible.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to something like Boma, I think they switch off every other night, depending on some of the items there.
All right, that sounds like a good idea.
Most of it is all the same, but I think one night you'll get like a peanut soup or a stew or something, and then I forget what the other one is. Saturday, I did the breakfast at Whispering Canyon Cafe, which is the all-you-can-eat skillet. Can't go wrong with that. I saw my niece and nephew there, and then I went to Animal Kingdom by myself, where really the only thing I need to do there is Kilimanjaro safaris. So I did that. I went to It's Tough to Be a Bug for the last time.
Oh yeah, they're taking out that too.
That literally closes next week. Which is crazy because I'd much rather go to that than Zootopia. No offense to the Zootopian fans.
No, none taken.
It was a decent movie, but it's just not... I mean, not movies that I picture. Like, I can't even... You're going inside the Tree of Life. So I don't know what they're possibly going to... In my head, what I picture is what they did to the Country Bears.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably not going to be that, but right now I can't picture what it is. I'll still go to it. I'll still go to the attraction once it's up. But it sucks that they're getting rid of these attractions, especially Muppet Vision 3D. It's also kind of dumb that they stopped giving the 3D glasses for It's Tough to Be a Bug. That are the normal 3D glasses.
Why?
That are, I don't know if people were probably stealing them.
I mean, that makes sense.
So they started giving the ones for Muppet Vision 3D instead.
Mm-hmm.
But those glasses are part of the joke at one point. So it's like, it's not like you're not in on the joke if you're not wearing the same bug eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. It's closing literally next week. And then after that, I went to Disney Springs and chilled. So that was interesting. Sunday, went to Epcot, ate at Spice Road Table for dinner, which is not something I would normally eat. I didn't realize it was tapas. And I think a lot of vegetarians go there.
Tapas? What's that?
Yeah. Tapas? What do you mean? The small dishes?
Uh,
Am I saying that wrong? Tapas?
I don't know. It's
Tapas?
definitely not topless.
I definitely didn't say topless.
No, you did not say topless.
But like I said, it's not something I normally eat. I got the bread service, which comes with, I think it's naan bread and hummus. And then I got a chicken dish, which is in phyllo dough with almonds and egg with honey.
Huh.
And then they dust it with powdered sugar. So it was very interesting.
What is this place?
Spice Road Table. It's in Morocco.
Huh.
Indoor, outdoor seating. And at night, I had a view right on the water. You could see the fireworks show that they have there.
It sounds pretty good.
I dipped during the fireworks because I didn't care for that. I thought I was going to be going on more rides. I didn't realize the park was already closed.
Mm-hmm.
So that sucked.
I mean, it sounds good. Any place you can get some naan, that's a good place to go.
Yeah, the food was fine. It's just not something I would normally eat, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
And then Monday I went back to Magic Kingdom just for Carousel Progress, which hilariously the scene had to be restarted. So I watched, I guess, 1.5 scenes for the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to Monsters, Inc. Laugh Floor, not Factory.
What's the difference?
Well, it's not a factory, I guess. It's a floor.
Oh, okay. So it's
the comedy show, the live comedy show.
Yeah, I went to that one. That was pretty fun.
And I always get nervous going in there because I've been on the screen twice and I never want to be on that screen. One time I was, they put me on the screen listing me as Sullivan's brother.
That's funny.
And I maybe I was just one time on the screen. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nerve-wracking going to that show.
Yeah, you know that they're looking for you.
Yeah, because I look like one of them. So I don't want the camera on me where it's like, oh, look at that. It's Sullivan's brother. I wear a mask for a reason. But funny. More importantly, I went to Magic Kingdom to get the popcorn mix that they had. The previous day that I was there, they had a s'mores mix and a Valentine's Day mix one. When I went back, the s'mores one was no longer advertised. So it was like you snooze, you lose almost. But they still had the stuff to make the s'mores. Mm-hmm. So I got that without marshmallows. It wasn't... I felt like the graham crackers weren't, good.
Mm-hmm.
So that was unfortunate. And then I got spring mix, which was not out yet. It's not advertised. Last year they had one. It was the pastel M&Ms with marshmallows. There was yellow and white chocolate drizzle, and then Nilla wafers.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have the yellow chocolate this time, but I saw that they had the Nilla wafers. I was like, oh, you have the spring popcorn? They were like, oh, I don't know why it's not out yet, but we're missing something. It was probably most likely the yellow chocolate that they didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
But I ended up getting that. They're both basically essentially caramel popcorn, chocolate drizzle, and M&Ms for me. I don't get the marshmallows. I feel like that's a pointless thing to get. But they're both really good. I don't know if people will say it's worth the price. I think one was $15, one was $14.99.
So that's a lot.
Yeah, it's
a hefty.
You're in Disney,
price
I
tag.
guess. So, but it's delicious. So I enjoy eating that. Mm-hmm. And then I went to Paradiso 37 for dinner at Disney Springs, and I got a burger with a pineapple chutney on it, which was good. There was like a cilantro garlic sauce and then a pink sauce, which were both good. The burger was super tiny for the bun that they had. And it was not worth the price. So I'm definitely probably most likely not going back to Paradiso 37.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a shame because I liked it. It was like a nice vibe inside and everything. It was a nice sit-down place. But for $24, this tiny little burger that I got, not at all worth it.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. So overall, I enjoyed my trip down to Florida. Always wish I had more time, more food, more energy.
Hey, I hear you.
But we should move over to some pro wrestling. Speaking
Yes.
quickly about last week's SmackDown, Randy Orton opened the show and he spoke about John Cena. He spoke about Kevin Owens. I'm sure I'll put a pin in that for this week. You had Tiffany Stratton and Piper Niven fight. Stratton got the victory over Piper Niven. Charlotte Flair, the main thing to mention here was that she attacked Tiffany Stratton from behind. So now we know she's definitely going into WrestleMania as that heel, and my fingers still ridiculously crossed that she does not beat Tiffany Stratton at WrestleMania.
I think she's going to. I
really hope she doesn't.
I think we're gonna have one of those things. Same thing with what's her face with Rhea Ripley when it happened.
I really hope not.
Same thing happened where she defeated Rhea, and then the Mania after she got her revenge on her. I feel like we're gonna have something similar to that. I still haven't forgiven Flair for breaking the streak.
Yeah, that still shouldn't have happened. But later on, Chelsea Green defeated Mia Yim in a street fight. Big pop for Chelsea Green dressed as Cactus Jack in that match. But Piper Niven got involved. B-Fab got involved. That took Piper out of the match. And then a mystery woman got involved and helped Chelsea Green. It turned out to be Alba Fire. Alba Fire is now with Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, so I'm looking forward to more of that. You had Pretty Deadly pick up the victory over Los Garza and Motor City Machine Guns to become number one contenders. I was not expecting that outcome as number one contenders.
I wasn't either, and I'm curious to see what's going to happen with...
Well, they're going to lose, pal.
Yeah, but then what's next for Motor City?
Well, Motor City Machine Guns, I guess, just more tag team action.
I guess. Motor City.
You had Bianca Belair come out, basically say that she needs answers. She called Naomi out, and Naomi said that she feels as though Jade Cargill had been piggybacking off of Bianca the whole time. And she basically pulled a Rikishi. She did it for Bianca. And she doesn't give a damn about Jade Cargill. Naomi admitted it. I did not think it was going to be Naomi. She admitted it. So I was wrong, but I'm on Naomi's side here. Bianca Belair said that they're done, and then Jade Cargill pulled up and attacked Naomi, and once again, Naomi didn't fight back.
I don't know what's going on with Naomi and everything. I mean...
We'll put a pin in there, too, I guess.
Yeah, we're going to find out a lot with that one.
Braun Strowman picked up the victory over Solo Sikoa via disqualification. You had Tama Tonga get involved, which Braun Strowman shut him down, and then Jacob Fatu came out. They ended up brawling into the crowd, and Jacob Fatu got chokeslammed off production cases through some tables in that crowd. Cody Rhodes came out after that, spoke in the most Cody of ways possible, spoke about John Cena and what John Cena meant to him as a mentor and a hero, basically. And he said that John Cena always said never give up, and at the Elimination Chamber, he gave up. Very, very poetic.
I thought it was a good promo, though.
Yeah, I mean, he did quite the job to hype up WrestleMania.
Yeah, I thought he did a very good job. I think that everybody was tuning into SmackDown to listen to this promo, too.
I guess, yeah, that was the main selling point for SmackDown.
Yeah.
You had Drew McIntyre pick up the victory over Jimmy Uso. Earlier, Damian Priest was attacked by Drew McIntyre, and then Priest attacked Drew McIntyre after the match.
Yeah.
Main event, LA Knight picked up the victory over Shinsuke Nakamura. Very surprising, kind of, to become the new United States champion.
I was not expecting this at all. This was definitely a surprise to me.
Nakamura went to use a steel chair in this. Charles Robinson wrestled it away from him. He tried to spit the mist in LA Knight's face, and it hit Charles Robinson. And then he tried to use the chair again. LA Knight ends up hitting the BFT on the chair and gets the win off of that. I don't know how that wasn't like a DQ finish or anything. Like, he spit mist into the referee's face.
I mean, I guess we have to go by this entire thing of it's up to the discretion of the referee now.
Yeah, but I was not expecting a new United States champion. I hope this run is a meaningful run, that Nakamura run. We said the same thing. We always say the same thing. It sucked. It was awful.
Yeah.
I think he defended it twice and 2 of those times were against LA Knight.
Yeah,
Maybe
a lot to be had with this, you know.
So, moving over to Monday Night Raw from this week, you had Jey Uso pick up the victory over Grayson Waller live at Madison Square Garden. Almost forgot to get that in there. Did you hear the goofy gimmicks they want to... I mean, we hear this often. They're talking about demolitioning.
Yeah, they're gonna
Madison Square Garden, moving it to the next block over just so they can get green grass. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, we don't need green grass. We need a new Penn Station.
Put green grass where you want to move the garden to.
Yeah, no, you need new Penn Station. That's
what a stupid! You just renovated Penn Station.
We need more.
Just stop with the MSG demolition talk.
Dude, get used to it. It's not the first time MSG has moved.
Yeah, there's no reason to move it a 6th time. Like, not even a chance. That'd be the dumbest thing. But Uso beat Waller. Austin Theory got involved behind the referee's back, which allowed Grayson Waller to get the upper hand a little bit. But, I mean, no way was Jey losing this on his road to WrestleMania. You had A-Town Down Under attack Jey Uso afterwards, which Jey shut them down. But from behind, Gunther again locked that sleeper on Jey Uso. I feel like you have to... You're doing the same thing basically every week. Jey has to take that title.
I'm going to disagree. I think that this is just going to be Gunther showing his total just dominance over Jey Uso.
But the same thing?
I don't know. I just can't see Jey Uso as the champion right now.
Take your left hand.
Uh-huh.
Put it out like you're touching a wall.
Okay.
Take your right hand. Pretend you're touching a wall.
Okay.
Now, quickly, in a quick motion, up and down motion, move your hands up and then down.
Okay.
Do you see the vision?
Yeet. Next up, you had Logan Paul make his way to the ring. Before getting to the ring, ripping off that T-shirt of that fan.
Plant.
That fan. Flant?
I said plant, not flant.
Yeah, I know. It's a fan / a plant.
Which, yeah, classic heel thing to do. Brand new Logan Paul merchandise on WWE Shop. You think I don't think he's getting money for that shirt? Come on.
Yeah, he's going to be making a lot of money.
But he addressed AJ Styles calling him out before AJ Styles could call him out. And he was like, I don't associate with guys like AJ Styles. And then he compared himself to guys like The Rock and John Cena, which in some circles, he might be on that same level. But he told The Rock that his soul is for sale. And then he had Andrew Schulz ringside, and he was talking to him, and Andrew said that he is not the reason why Madison Square Garden is there. Madison Square Garden is sold out to see CM Punk and Seth Rollins in that cage match. And absolutely nobody is there to see Logan Paul. And he wants to see AJ Styles. Logan Paul did not take kindly to that, dragged him over the barricade.
Now, this guy just didn't... I didn't know him too much.
Comedian, brand new special on Netflix.
Yeah.
And AJ Styles made the save.
Mm-hmm.
And Logan Paul walked off, so it's very clearly leading to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I was surprised he got physical there, though.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked that he got physical and everything like that. I like that Logan Paul came out strong on here, outside of AJ Styles coming to do the rundown. It looked like this guy, he looks like the guy from, what is it?
Simon Gotch.
Yeah, Simon Gotch. Yeah.
The Vaudevillains.
Yeah, with the stash. But next up, you had the New Day pick up the victory over LWO in a tornado tag team matchup. This was a good tag team matchup. A lot of utilization of everything at the ringside, including tables.
I'm going to say outside of the match itself, I think that might have been the first time since maybe 2017 that Rey Mysterio was wearing pants instead of tights. So I definitely popped that he was wearing pants there. But the LWO controlled, I would say, a lot of this. I liked, there were celebrities sitting ringside everywhere. You had wrestlers sitting ringside promoting Roadblock. And one of those wrestlers, Obafemi, sitting there trash talking Xavier Woods. And I thought that was a great way to have him involved there.
Mm-hmm.
I liked New Day catching Dragon Lee midair to powerbomb him outside the ring. The spot of outside the cage match, the spot of the night, I think, was that Hurricane Rana to Xavier Woods by Rey Mysterio on the top rope, and then that double stomp to Kofi Kingston from Dragon Lee.
I mean, the guy's over 50, and he's pulling out those stops.
That was great. And then Xavier Woods, you mentioned the table. He eventually went through a table. Kofi got his knees up for a frog splash, and Dragon Lee made the save off of that pin, but a masked man showed up, took the LWO out. If you were asking me in that moment, I would say it was very obviously Chad Gable. He's wearing an American-made mask. New Day hit their finisher to win. And then later on, to Kathy Kelly's face, denied that it was him. She's like, brother, you're wearing the same exact outfit. And they showed security dragging that masked guy out.
Which I think was great. It was great usage of the surroundings.
Hilariously done. It's very obviously Chad Gable, but...
I mean, it's definitely not Juan Cena.
Very well done there. And they're selling that mask on WWE Shop. I wish I could get that. I'm looking forward to this. Whatever they're doing with this, I don't know what his name is gonna be or whatnot, but
I mean, I don't think you could really say that it's him, though.
I mean,
no,
you can't. But after that, you had Cody Rhodes come out. Maybe because it's Madison Square Garden. I think that's part of his promo. The reason why he was there, but I don't think he should be at Madison Square Garden like this.
Why?
He's not on Monday Night Raw.
Oh, come on. You have to.
I don't know.
I feel like you have to have...
I don't know. It's a very fine, thin line of I don't know.
I know. You're very against the... without the cross-brand stuff.
Like, if it makes sense, it makes sense. But here,
I guess you know, you're not wrong. There's other wrestlers that could have been utilized, especially because we just had him on SmackDown. He could have just been there in a dark match related and given that time to somebody else on the Raw roster.
But he addressed how John Cena had said he's not going to be at Madison Square Garden. He tweeted to have the discipline to do what he needs to have done, even when you don't want to do whatever John Cena tweeted out. And Cody Rhodes basically said it's a bunch of baloney. I think it was interesting to hear "Let's Go Cena" chants mixed in with "Cena sucks."
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. It seems like the crowd is like totally split on if they should cheer heel Cena or boo heel Cena, which is not good. I mean, I think that we really need to be collective on we hate him. Like, so he has, you know what he has to do.
What?
He has to beat up the one person that idolized him as a kid growing up.
Yeah.
He needs to just beat the hell out of R-Truth. He needs to.
Which is a SmackDown thing, so.
Yeah.
But Cody Rhodes said that number 17 doesn't happen, and Cody gets to be the one that keeps that from him. And his time is now. He gets to be John Cena. Everything that John Cena was, he's wearing the suits, he's going to the media, everything that John Cena wanted, he's doing. So.
Mm-hmm.
After that, you had Raquel Rodriguez pick up the victory over Bayley to become number one contender for the Intercontinental Championship.
I couldn't get into this matchup all too much.
I think it was pretty decent. You had Bayley control a lot of this. I liked Raquel countering the Rose Plant with a Tejana Bomb attempt, which Bayley got out of. But Dominic distracted the referee, so Liv Morgan could trip Bayley, which led to Raquel slamming Bayley on the commentary table. She made it back in before the 10 count. I really hate when they do these spots. Because as soon as she made it back in, Bayley got put down.
Yeah.
Just stop doing the 10 count. And I also wish that a tag team champion wasn't going for a singles title. Which, for some odd reason, I feel like I'd be fine with it if it was Liv Morgan going for Rhea Ripley.
You'd be okay with that part?
For some reason, yeah. For me, I guess the story's there. But there are so many other women that could be wrestling for the Intercontinental Championship. You should be defending those titles, wrestling those, have those matches, have tag matches. Not saying they're not going to also do that, but I have a feeling they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
You had Io Sky interviewed after that. She said that she's over the moon to be champion going into WrestleMania. And then Michael Cole brought Bianca Belair out. And Michael Cole asked her if she thinks, if she wasn't ringside last week, would it be Rhea Ripley that she was facing at WrestleMania? And Rhea Ripley showed up, of course. Questioned why Bianca was there, since there was no reason for her to be there. And maybe she should have handled her own business with Naomi and Jade Cargill.
I thought that this was great.
This was a good segment.
Yeah. I liked that you showed the dominance of both Bianca and Rhea, but at the same time you showed the take no crap attitude from Io, where she just slapped the hell out of the both of them.
Well, Bianca said that Rhea Ripley knows that she can't beat Io. She's never beat Io one-on-one. And then Io tried to break it up between the both of them, and they both ended up shoving Io. And she got pissed, slapped both of them. She's like, I'm the champion. And they're just yelling at one another, but that, to me, that screams WrestleMania main event. I don't know if we're going to get that triple threat match as a main event at WrestleMania, but I feel like it very much so. Story is there, man.
It screams it. I don't think we're going to get it.
It's been there for years.
I think that the Punk is good.
It's been boiling up for years. I don't know, man.
I think Punk is going to get the main event on one night, and then the other one's going to be Cody.
I feel like it should be that match. Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky versus Bianca Belair.
I don't see it as there, but main event of the evening, we had the return of a steel cage match to Madison Square Garden.
I'm pretty sure that was their live event steel cage.
I'm not sure.
I don't think it was a smaller cage.
I don't know, but you had Seth Rollins pick up the victory over CM Punk, and this match was awesome. It had everything.
Throughout the night, by the way, they hyped the absolute heck out of steel cage matches at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, great storytelling with all of them.
And then as soon as CM Punk got in, they just brawled.
Yeah, they just went at it, and I thought it was perfect. No?
Yeah, Seth Rollins I feel like controlled a lot of the beginning of it. CM Punk eventually landed a GTS, but he collapsed. I liked when CM Punk hit his running knee to the back of Seth Rollins' head into the cage. You had CM Punk drop a bunch of standing elbow drops. And then he hit 3 diving elbows. And it looked like maybe he was going to do a 4th one off the top of the cage. But Seth Rollins got up there, eventually superplexed him or suplexed him. That's a whole hot debate of topic. Off the cage. Like, regardless, you're suplexing him off the cage. Like, people are like, Seth was on the top rope. He wasn't on top of the cage.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It was still
awesome. He's still
awesome.
on top of the freaking cage. Like, what do you mean? He's up there. He's getting suplexed off the cage. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
but it's really just the... No, he's on top of the cage getting suplexed off.
Mm-hmm.
And then CM Punk hit another GTS, and Rollins kicked out of that. And he went for another one, and Seth Rollins rolled through into an STF. I thought that was a great spot, teasing the Elimination Chamber spot where John Cena had CM Punk pass out.
Yeah, I thought that was great. He jumped right into there, too, to get it, to lock it in.
And CM Punk got out of that, turned it into an Anaconda Vice, which Seth Rollins got out of, hit a stomp on CM Punk, and Punk kicked out of that. And they went on and on. Seth Rollins went for a super stomp. And CM Punk ripped him down, hit another GTS and another kick out. CM Punk hit his own stomp.
Which I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, and then Seth Rollins hit his own GTS and a stomp and actually hit a super stomp. And then Roman Reigns showed up and dragged Seth Rollins out of the cage, and Seth Rollins won the match.
I mean, you knew something was about to take place because you heard the rumble in the crowd, but you didn't know what. And then you just see these big arms reach over and grab Seth and rip him to the outside of the ring, which it cost CM Punk the match, but... I mean, Roman Reigns then hitting with that Superman punch and then following it up with the spear on the outside of the ring.
Yeah, and then Roman hit a stomp on Seth Rollins, payback. And Roman went to stomp Seth Rollins on the steps, but officials pushed Roman Reigns back. And then Paul Heyman shows up in the ring with CM Punk. My jaw dropped.
I know. Memories.
And Roman Reigns was not having that. He got into the ring, turned his attention to CM Punk, attacked CM Punk, and it ends with that. That was a great closing segment.
Talk about a Monday Night Raw fit for Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
You know.
And speaking of Madison Square Garden, the theater at Madison Square Garden hosted NXT Roadblock. Kicked off with the Hardy Boys defending the TNA Tag Team Championships, beating Fraxium. Seeing the Hardy Boys at Madison Square Garden on NXT defending the TNA Tag Team Championships is
crazy.
Just... Yeah. But this match was action-packed. I liked the catching moves that they did. Like the side effect from Matt Hardy. I think it was to Axiom outside the ring. Jeff Hardy hit Fraxium with the Whisper in the Wind. Hits a Twist of Fate on Nathan Frazer. Frazer kicked out of that. But in the end, Jeff Hardy pulled Nathan Frazer in the way of the high and low that Axiom would do. Axiom hit Frazer.
I mean...
And then the Hardys, they did the Twist of Fate and Swanton to pick up the win.
I mean, right away, Fraxium, they always tease... I don't know if you could call them tease, but unintentionally hit each other, which only leads to the tension. But I thought it was a good idea to start the entire event with the Hardy Boys. Yeah,
and it was just fun.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Next up, you had Jordynne Grace pick up the victory over Roxanne Perez. Dominant by Jordynne Grace. She's so good.
I don't know if I could say dominant.
I mean, she's definitely a force.
Well, I'm not saying she's not dominant. I don't think she was dominant in this, though.
No, Roxanne knew exactly how to combat her.
I thought this match was good, but I feel like it could have been better.
Mm-hmm.
I liked when Jordynne Grace slipped on the rope, and then Roxanne Perez, she's from that spot, worked on her knee that whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of time that she spent working that knee, it made me think maybe the spot was planned. I don't know if it was or not.
Okay.
But Jordynne Grace won with the Juggernaut Driver. I don't think it's called that anymore. I forget what she calls it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was their introduction to Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, I agree.
I guess Roxanne Perez, too. I'm not sure if she's done any other shows there.
Yeah, I agree.
You had Oba Femi pick up the victory over Moose to retain the NXT Championship. Undertaker spoke to Oba Femi beforehand and basically said he's impressed with him. The fans were going nuts for this match.
Yeah, I think that this entire matchup, it shows exactly why Moose and Oba are positioned in the places that they are.
Yeah, I liked Obafemi rocking Moose with that uppercut when Moose went for that springboard dive, the clothesline. Mm-hmm. Moose hit a superplex. Obafemi popped up and suplexed Moose. They really, they matched each other's strengths in this match.
Yeah.
Moose put Obafemi through the commentary table. He hit a spear. Obafemi kicked out of that. He hit his finisher on Moose and won the match to retain the title. Yeah. This was a well-done match.
I agree. It was a really nice match to showcase the both of them. I think that even though Moose did lose this matchup, I don't think coming out of this match you would think anything less of him.
No.
Which is a victory.
You had Javon Evans pick up the victory over Ethan Page in a street fight. Decent match. They used chairs. They used some tables. Ethan Page threw Javon Evans onto the chairs that Javon set up in the seated position. That was a crazy spot.
Yeah, then they had that cutter spot.
He hit the power slam through the table at one point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that Javon hit that cover over the top rope, off the apron, through the table outside. That was a crazy spot.
Just wild.
And then Javon set Ethan Page up in the chair, and he tried to stomp it. Ethan Page got out of that, and Javon ends up hitting the cutter while the chair is wrapped around his neck, and won the match. But the only thing I'm really super disappointed with, they didn't take it to the street.
Yeah, that's true. They didn't even leave.
The setup for this, where the entrance was not what I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
I expected the entrance to be head on where the stage is there. So it was very interesting to see it be by those side doors. Where that entrance was, if you go through those doors, there's a bathroom to the left, and then you go through another set of doors. It's like a very small corridor. That's the street.
It was right there.
When I saw the AAA show, probably against the request from security,
mm-hmm.
Psycho Clown left the garden like that and went right onto the streets of New York City. And it's the craziest thing because you just see this giant group of people surrounding basically a half-naked man in a clown mask. Which was such a crazy sight. If I had my iPhone then, it'd be a completely different story. But
mm-hmm. That's weird.
But yeah, so it's really disappointing that they didn't utilize the street there. After the match, Retribution showed up and jumped Javon Evans. They might have hit Ethan Page too. I don't recall that, but I know they definitely attacked Javon Evans. And then the main event of Roadblock saw Stephanie Vaquer pick up the victory over Julia to become the new NXT champion. They billed this as the biggest match, the biggest women's match in NXT history, and it was under 14 minutes long. I don't know what the actual length length of the match was, but I wish they got so much more time.
They definitely utilized the time that they had.
Yeah, but I feel like they could have done so much more.
True.
They did have a lot of good reversals in this match. Those pin reversals in the beginning I thought were really nice. But Julia caught Stephanie Vaquer when she went for the spinal tap with the what was it? Was it a triangle?
I don't remember.
That was fantastic. And then she switched
to
the Rings of Saturn. That was a really great transition there.
Mm-hmm.
And then Stephanie Vaquer got to the ropes there. Julia rocked Stephanie Vaquer with the Arrivederci and went for the Northern Lights bomb, but Stephanie got out of that. She hit the SVB 2 more times and won the match.
Yeah.
I really think they could have done so much more with this match had they had more time, but fantastic match.
I agree. I'm kind of over Booker T overselling that move too.
Overselling? I don't think he's overselling. I think he's into it.
He's a little bit too into it. He should be a little bit more out of it. You know, it's a little bit weird. Just saying.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And they're saying that she's the first person to hold 2 titles in NXT, which for women, it's not true.
Yeah, didn't Paige?
Mandy Rose did that.
Paige?
No, 2 NXT titles.
Oh.
Mandy Rose held the NXT Women's Championship and the NXT UK Women's Championship technically. I don't know if they count that because it was unified.
Mm-hmm.
And now I don't know if this is unified. We'll have to see about that. I hope it's not. I don't know how you get out of this, though.
Well, I'm not sure. Maybe we're going to need Mandy Rose to come on back in a dispute.
I highly doubt that. But I could feel like there's going to be maybe a... I have to assume Jordynne Grace is fighting for one of those titles at Stand and Deliver.
I could see that.
So that's NXT Roadblock. Moving over to SmackDown. It was really cool to see SmackDown for the first time ever live in Spain. The fans were going absolutely nuts from the start to the finish of the show. It kicked off with LA Knight. He was so over, which was just incredible to hear. He was going to be issuing an open challenge for the U.S. Championship. Jimmy Uso came out and said that he's desperate to get to WrestleMania. This could be his chance. Solo Sikoa and the Bloodline came out, and Solo said that if anybody deserves a title shot, it's Jacob Fatu. They attacked LA Knight and Jimmy Uso, and then Braun Strowman ran down to even the odds. Nick Aldis came out to make this a 6-man tag. I know some people were expecting A-Kid making his return to face LA Knight here for that open challenge since it was in Spain, and he was seen at an indie show in Spain, but I'll put a pin in that. It sets up that 6-man tag. We see LA Knight, Jimmy Uso, and Braun Strowman pick up the victory of the Bloodline. It was just great to see and hear how over everybody was. They even did the hyena gimmick when Tama Tonga got in the ring. The Bloodline distracted the referee a bunch of times to get the upper hand. Braun Strowman eventually got that hot tag, took everyone out with that Strowman Express, and then he hit a running power slam on Tama Tonga to get that victory. Solo, right after the match was done, rocked Braun Strowman with that Samoan spike. LA Knight went after him. They ran off to the crowd. Jacob Fatu came back in, took out Jimmy Uso, and then beat the hell out of Braun Strowman. And it's kind of funny to hear the fans, they were cheering for Fatu and Tama Tonga, and whenever Solo Sikoa got into that ring, they were booing the heck out of him. And then Jacob Fatu ends up doing that running hip attack through the barricade to Braun Strowman. Later on, challenged Braun Strowman for a match next week on SmackDown. That gets set up. There was a sit-down interview with Jade Cargill in an empty arena with Kathy Kelly. Jade Cargill said that she's fine, but she called Naomi pathetic. She was asked how she knew it was Naomi, and she said that all she remembers is being attacked and barely seeing Naomi run away, something like that. The Judgment Day interrupted. They end up arguing, which sets up a match for next week between Liv Morgan and Jade Cargill. I have to assume Naomi is costing Jade that match. You had Charlotte Flair pick up the victory over B-Fab. I like that B-Fab cut a promo in Spanish beforehand. I'm sure as far as this match goes, it must have felt really good for B-Fab to have the fans cheering so loud for her and being so behind B-Fab. She definitely held her own, but Charlotte controlled most of the match. Charlotte afterwards holds on to the figure eight. Tiffany Stratton, to a huge pop, runs out. Her and Charlotte brawl. That continues into a Miz TV segment where Tiffany Stratton ends up jumping off of the entranceway and takes out Charlotte. And that's how that ended. Miz TV happened. Cody Rhodes was the guest. Miz opened with his normal intro, but it was all in Spanish, so I thought that was pretty cool. I liked Miz saying that Cody is not going to beat John Cena in the main event of WrestleMania like he was able to do. And before people could whoa with Cody's entrance, Miz interrupted it, Cody was pissed off. He took Miz out. He said he doesn't want to talk to anybody unless it's John Cena. He'll be at Monday Night Raw next week. Maybe John Cena could find the time. John Cena's booked for Brussels. He's advertised. So I have to assume John Cena and Cody Rhodes will have their first face-off on Raw next week. A teaser for something aired, which it seems like it's most likely for Rey Fenix, which is really cool. It was a wrestler in a mask sitting on the top rope with an orange cue and lightning. So it seems like we're going to be seeing Phoenix debut on SmackDown. Later on, there was another teaser that was just like, it was a black screen with white smoke, and it said the number 4. I have to assume that's Aleister Black. So I'm pumped to see Aleister Black in WWE again, if that's for him. I'm pumped to see Phoenix in WWE, if that's for him. After that, we had Damian Priest pick up the victory over Shinsuke Nakamura via disqualification. You had a video air from Drew McIntyre earlier, and Damian Priest was looking for him. And Nick Aldis told him that Drew McIntyre left. Shinsuke Nakamura was there asking Nick Aldis for a rematch for the U.S. Championship. And Damian Priest was like, I want to fight. Nick Aldis was like, Nakamura clearly wants to fight, so he sets that match up. I really didn't want Shinsuke to lose this, given that he just lost the championship. But Drew McIntyre showed up and attacked Damian Priest right before Damian Priest was going to win, but at least Nakamura wasn't pinned here. And Nakamura ended up hitting Damian Priest with a Kinshasa during that attack from Drew McIntyre. He left. Drew McIntyre continued the beatdown. Damian Priest got up after Drew McIntyre left, so Drew went back into the ring, hit a Claymore, dropped him, end segment. You had Randy Orton pick up the victory over Carmelo Hayes. Not a one-sided match, but for me, this was like Charlotte versus B-Fab, with Orton being Flair and Carmelo Hayes being B-Fab in regards to Randy Orton controlling most of it and Carmelo Hayes not having that. Like, there's no chance that Carmelo Hayes was winning that match. The scoop power slam from Randy Orton when Carmelo Hayes went for that springboard, I thought was so cool. But Carmelo Hayes goes up for nothing but net. Randy Orton moved. I thought that was going to be an RKO. It wasn't. Melo ends up hitting a springboard DDT right after that, and he went for nothing but net again. Randy Orton hits a superplex to stop that. He went for an RKO. Carmelo Hayes reversed it. People are going to be like, oh, Carmelo Hayes loses all the time. He reversed it RKO. That counts for something in my head. Randy Orton eventually does hit that RKO to pick up the victory. He picked Carmelo Hayes up to shake his hand afterwards. Carmelo pushed Randy Orton away, so Orton dropped him with another RKO. Sets up for a punt, and at the very last second, Kevin Owens pulled Carmelo Hayes out of the way, and then Randy Orton and Kevin Owens brawled. Kevin Owens ends up running off, and that was the end of that segment. You had Gunther pick up the victory over Axiom. The NXT Tag Team Champion just faced the Hardy Boys on NXT this week. Gunther cut a promo beforehand and spoke about Jey Uso. And, I mean, he made reference to A-Kid, so I thought that was cool. And brought out Axiom to show Jey Uso that he's better than Jey Uso, I think. I wasn't quite grasping why Axiom, other than that he was the hometown hero, I guess. But it pretty much, I would say, backfired on Gunther, because this was not at all a one-sided match. Gunther at one point tried to rip Axiom's mask off, and it seemed to like fire him up a little bit, lead to a little bit of a comeback. And when Gunther, when Axiom set up for the Golden Ratio, Gunther rocks him with that big drop kick. He hits a power bomb. Axiom kicked out of that. I wasn't expecting Axiom to kick out of that. Gunther goes for a splash, but Axiom stopped that, maybe seemingly going for a Spanish fly, but that was blocked. He ends up hitting a Hurricane Rana. He hits the Golden Ratio on the World Heavyweight Champion, Gunther. And Gunther ends up hitting a few more power bombs, gets the victory over Axiom. This was a great match. It was very unexpected. So even though people were expecting to see A-Kid return to WWE in that U.S. Championship Open Challenge, we got Axiom in Spain, and I thought this was a really good match. And Gunther ends up locking Axiom in a sleeper hold, and I was very surprised that Jey Uso wasn't there to make that save. The fans were chanting for him. When they realized that he wasn't there, I feel like they booed. But Gunther spoke to Jimmy later on to basically ask him to ask Jey to pull out of their match so he doesn't have to hurt or choke Jey out like he did to Axiom. You had Paul Heyman come out after that. Hyped up WWE 2K25. It's out now. So if you didn't pre-order by now, you don't get the Wyatt 6. Dumb on you if you were planning to get the game, no offense. But he spoke about CM Punk being his friend. He spoke about Seth Rollins and how he hates Seth Rollins. He spoke about Roman Reigns and how Roman Reigns will be there next week in Italy. And the fans booed. He told the fans to hop on a cheap airline or whatever and go to Italy. So I thought that was funny. But I feel like that wasn't really necessary to say Roman Reigns is going to be there via Paul Heyman. But I guess it sets up, it puts WWE 2K25 on TV. I don't know. Main event saw the Street Profits pick up the victory over DIY to become the new tag team champions. I was not expecting that at all. You had, before the match, Legado jokingly cheering on the Street Profits, because if they were to win, then Legado wants a match against them, Los Garza. And this was a pretty good match. It was really nice to see tag team wrestling showcased like this in WWE. DIY did a really good job at utilizing their heel tactics to keep them from tagging one another and doing stuff behind the referee's back. You had DIY hit a shatter machine, and Dawkins breaks that pin up. The match gets a bit chaotic after that. I liked Angelo Dawkins countering Johnny Gargano's slingshot spear with a neck breaker. I don't know if I've seen a reversal like that before. I'm sure we have, but I thought that was really cool. I liked that the Street Profits held on to that Doomsday Blockbuster when Ciampa at first broke it up. And Montez Ford dove out to the outside of the ring. Dawkins still had Johnny Gargano up for it. He gets him up for it, and then they hit the Blockbuster. Thought that was very interesting. Ciampa broke that pin up. And then they went and hit the super kick and fairy tale ending combo. I thought that was going to be it. Dawkins kicked out. And then DIY went for meat in the middle. Dawkins moved out of the way. Johnny Gargano rocked Ciampa with a super kick. Montez Ford hit the frog splash eventually and won the tag team championships. So now we're going to be moving on to Pretty Deadly versus the Street Profits for the WWE Tag Team Championships. Like I said, I wasn't expecting Street Profits to win that match. I'm excited to see them as champions. Hopefully it's a good run. But that's SmackDown. Going to take a quick little break right now, and I'll be right back here on Markin Out.
Hey everybody, this is Lex Luger, the Total Package, and you are listening to Markin Out.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Markin Out episode 736. Going back to AEW Collision last week, you had the Ops pick up the victory over Jack Banning, Starboy, Charlie, and Titus Alexander. It's right back to square one. I think it's absolutely ridiculous, truly absolutely ridiculous that the Ops are back to square one. Again, on Dynamite, they defeated Vinny Pacifico, Eli Theseus, and Gabriel Eros. Nothing. I don't get it. This is not building up. You're not building up significant victories to make them a credible threat. I hate that. You had Momo Watanabe pick up the victory over Serena Deeb. This was a really good match. It showcased Momo before Revolution, where she faced Mercedes, especially for a crowd that might not know her. I think it's unfortunate that Serena Deeb hasn't been used in months and hasn't won a match even longer than that. Mercedes got in the ring afterwards. Momo put her down. I'll put a pin in that. Harley Cameron picked up the victory over Tate Vic. This almost came off as a showcase match for Tate Vic. Not, and I think I'm mispronouncing that. But I don't think this was a good follow-up from a match against Deonna Purrazzo for Harley Cameron. You had Undisputed Kingdom pick up the victory over the Infantry. I thought the match was fine, but really nothing to mention from this. I think they could have done more, but I guess maybe time-wise they just didn't. You had Hologram pick up the victory over Dralistico. This was a good, hard-hitting match. They went outside a lot, which is the only thing I'd really want different from this match. And I'd also like to have LFI ringside. But afterwards, you had Black Taurus show up. He attacked Hologram. Commander made the save. And then LFI came out on top, and there was no sign of Roosh. I don't know where Roosh was, and I'll put a pin in this. The Outrunners picked up the victory of the Premier Athletes. I guess this is their one match for 2025 for the Premier Athletes. But this is in no way, shape, or form a match that makes anybody believe that the Outrunners can beat the Hurt Business. If anything, the fact that it went as long as it did makes me think that they look even less likely to beat Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. This is just like the Ops. You could throw as many victories their way, but if they're not meaningful, why should anyone care? Main event saw Daniel Garcia pick up the victory over Lee Moriarty to retain that championship. This was a good technical match. I didn't like the pin spot. I hate that always. Almost always, I should say. But Daniel Garcia won the match with an actual pile driver and used a normal pin. For weeks, maybe months at that point, he'd been just using that jackknife pin. So it was nice to see just a pile driver. Not just a pile driver. It was nice to see a pile driver and then a normal pin. Shane Taylor Promotions showed up afterwards. They surrounded the ring, and Undisputed Kingdom ran down to chase them off. You had AEW Revolution take place at the Staples Center Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles, California. I didn't watch this. I seen clips. You had Commander and Hologram pick up the victory over Lee Johnson and Blake Christian. They did a great job at setting up a match for this pay-per-view between LFI and Commander and Hologram. So it was very weird that this was the match that happened. You had Daniel Garcia and Undisputed Kingdom pick up the victory over Shane Taylor Promotions. Big Boom AJ and the Conglomeration picked up the victory over Maximum Male Models. The Rizzler got a huge pop coming out dressed as Orange Cassidy. Probably, one of the biggest pops in AEW history, dare I say. You had Hangman pick up the victory over MJF. On Dynamite, MJF kind of made excuses as to why he lost. And he said it's not over between him and Hangman. And then MVP came out. They hugged. MVP ran through their history together. And then MVP asked MJF why he's whining and not hurting people. And he tried to give him a business card. MJF turned it down, but MVP told him to focus on how he was champion and gave him the card. They kind of just did this with Jeff Jarrett and MJF. But obviously not quite like that. MJF also had a backstage thing with Hangman. That was a very well done segment. But the outcome of this, the only thing that I could potentially be happy for or excited with would be MJF joining the Hurt Business. Really. You had Mercedes Moné pick up the victory over Momo Watanabe to retain that championship. We'll see Mercedes in action next week against Billy Starks. So that's cool. Swerve picked up the victory over Ricochet to become number one contender. I think that sucks because I no pun intended, I wanted to Swerve. I was really pulling for Prince Nana turning his back on Swerve, joining up with Ricochet. Ricochet gets that title shot. That would have been interesting to me. I don't need to see Swerve in that title picture again. You had Okada pick up the victory over Brody King to retain the title. Hurt Business beat the Outrunners to retain. Tony Storm picked up the victory over Mariah May in a Hollywood-ending match to retain that championship. I don't know how this didn't main event, especially based off the clips that I saw and how bloodied it was and how it ended, I would say perfectly, right where the feud began. How did you not, and you got the screen, it pops up, the end. How does this not end? Is that not a perfect ending pay-per-view shot? The end? And then cut to Dynamite. I think Tony Storm cut one of the worst promos I've ever heard. And then Megan Bayne attacked her. So I'll put a pin in that. Kenny Omega picked up the victory over Takeshita to become the new international champion. Will Ospreay picked up the victory over Kyle Fletcher in a cage match. This was, based on clips, crazy. All the high spot stuff that they did, all the blood and everything, absolutely crazy cage match. On Dynamite, Will Ospreay spoke. For the first half of it, I could not understand a single word he was saying. But he said that he wants the main event all in. So he's entering the Owen Hart tournament, which we didn't even know was happening this year. But I guess it's happening. That's tournament after tournament. Yet Jon Moxley pick up the victory over Christian and Edge to retain the championship in the main event. Christian cashed in and clocked Edge. So before he cashed in, I don't understand how that wasn't a disqualification. But Mox ends up choking Christian out. On Dynamite, Nick Wayne spoke up to Christian about Christian losing and making excuses. And then they freaking announce Edge versus Jon Moxley again in a street fight for the freaking title. In what world? In what world? Twitter blew up over this match and how awful it was. And Tony Khan's just like, well, here's this again. The pay-per-view ended. Jon Moxley goes to that little tunnel area to leave through the crowd. Swerve jumped off of him from the stands. That, to me, was a dud ending. Dynamite kicked off. Kenny Omega, he thanked Takeshita for pushing him at Revolution. And then he spoke about the god-awful tournament, the number one contender spot tournament. So stupid. But Hologram and Powerhouse Hobbs picked up the victory over Brian Cage and Dralistico, which seems like they're just combining two different feuds and for no reason. They went from the Ops match, and it was like the same basic match, but longer. People were actually signed to AEW. Harley Graham held Black Taurus back by flirting with him. The Lucha stuff in this match was fun, but I could have done without everything else. And then later on, Black Taurus lost a qualifier match in that tournament against Speedball Mike Bailey. It was long rumored that he was signed with AEW. He finally made his debut for TV. I think it's great to see him there. I thought it was a decent showcase match for him, but I thought he'd have a lot more control in this match, and I wish there was more selling. I would have changed that. You had Takeshita pick up the victory over Max Caster, which I think is hilarious that this match took place. Like, a follow-up from losing your title, blowing off steam, answering Max Caster's challenge, tearing right through him. I think that was perfect for Takeshita, but also kind of weird because, I mean, the fans were kind of behind Takeshita in this. Not kind of, they were behind Takeshita. So he's not a face, but it came off as him being a face because everybody collectively there was not having it for Max Caster. You had Willow Nightingale pick up the victory over Penelope Ford. I thought the match was fine. I think they should have had more time, but feud-wise, I don't know where Penelope Ford is right now. It's all confusing because she and Megan Bayne, I thought, were moving on from Chris Statlander and Thunder Rosa. Penelope Ford attacked Willow Nightingale afterwards with a chair. Chris Statlander made the save. She's still trying to make reconcile with Willow. And then Megan Bayne took both of them out. So, I mean, Thunder Rosa was nowhere to be found from this. I thought they were 100% moving away from that, but I guess we'll see. Megan Bayne, Penelope Ford, Mercedes Moné, and now Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale. And maybe Thunder Rosa, who knows? So, main event, so Orange Cassidy pick up the victory over Hechicero to advance. In a perfect world, Orange Cassidy wouldn't even be in this tournament because he literally beat Roderick Strong a few weeks ago to face Takeshita, and then he faced Takeshita and lost. Why 2 weeks later is he getting another title shot? Or another shot at maybe getting a title shot? I don't understand that whatsoever. This match started with 2 minutes left in the TV slot. Obviously, they went over. It's funny because when 10 o'clock rolled around when the program should be ending, they cut to commercial. That's not an overrun to me. You're taking up a commercial break. An overrun is no commercials for me. But the match was fine. It was just Orange Cassidy. You picture an Orange Cassidy match, that's what you get. Hechicero, you want to surprise me? You put him in that four-way match next week. I don't need to see Orange Cassidy maybe get another shot at that title. He just lost. But that is AEW Dynamite. Hey, Brandon, got any shout-outs?
Why did the chicken cross the road to listen to Brandon's shout-outs? Waka waka.
The first shout-out goes to Daredevil Born Again, which is now out on Disney Plus. Some of the episodes, I should say. It's a revival, a continuation of the Daredevil series from Netflix. Have you seen it? No, right?
No, I did not.
If you've never seen the Daredevil show from Netflix, I highly recommend going to watch that. That's on Disney Plus as well now.
I know everybody says it's really good. I watched like the first 2 episodes of the original one. I shouldn't say the original, the first season.
It's been almost 7 years since an episode of Daredevil.
Wow.
And it's as if no time has passed. Vincent D'Onofrio is freaking amazing. He's so good as Kingpin. So watch that on Disney Plus. My next shout out goes to Air Supply. I saw them at Epcot. I thought they were great. Since I started going to concerts in 2007, I always wanted to see them live, and it never lined up. So I was happy when they were at the Flower and Garden Festival at Epcot, and I was able to go. I went to multiple shows. They sounded pretty good. They're on their 50th anniversary tour, so if you're a fan of their music, I'd say look them up. Go see them. I was so happy sitting there listening to their songs live.
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't get into when I went to a concert there. I forgot even who I saw. Do you remember?
No.
Me neither.
I don't remember you going to a concert there at all.
Well, I kind of stuck around just for like one song.
You didn't actually go to a concert? You were standing in the back?
Yeah, I stood in the back for like 1 or 2 songs. Oh, it was... I don't even remember. Could have been Bryan Adams.
It was... I could tell you it was definitely not Bryan Adams. I'm going to say it was most likely Rick Springfield.
Yeah, that's the guy. Maybe. Maybe.
And then my last shout out goes to Queen of the Ring, which I went to see at Disney Springs at the AMC movie theater there on Saturday. I thought this movie was absolutely incredible. It's the story of Mildred Burke, from waitress to the top of the wrestling world. You may have heard of some of the names in the film. You may not have heard of any of these names. It was a super stacked cast. Emily Bett Rickards is the star of it as Mildred Burke. Josh Lucas was Billy Wolf. Tyler Posey was Billy's son, G-Bill. Walton Goggins was Jack Pfeffer. All these are real names. You can look these people up. Francesca Eastwood, I thought was fantastic as Mae Young. That's Clint Eastwood's daughter. I didn't even know that Marie Avdropoulos was going to be in this movie. I knew her from that show, The 100. I thought it was cool to see her. She was Elvira Snodgrass.
Elvira Snodgrass?
Yeah.
Is that legit? Like,
Yes, these are real people.
Never even heard of these people.
Deborah Ann Wall played Gladys Gillum. She is Karen on the Daredevil series. And I didn't know she was in this also. They changed a major detail about Gladys for some reason. And that's very confusing. Mm-hmm. I almost want to like spoil it to say like, what the hell? Should I? They kill her off in the movie.
Ah, dude, you could have done everything but spoil that one. It makes no
sense. She died of Alzheimer's. She was in Lipstick and Dynamite, the documentary, and she was one of the main focuses of that documentary. So it was very weird that they had her be the person killed off.
Yeah, why? Especially if you know that, like,
it's a real story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very, very odd, but you had Martin Kove as Al Haft, who was one of the founding members of the NWA. Kelly Berglund was Nell Stewart. I didn't know she was in this movie, and I think it's really cool to see her in another wrestling project. If you have not seen Heels, it's out on Netflix, so I would say 100% go watch Heels, because that's a fantastic show. Camille was June Byers. She was fantastic as June Byers. Jim Cornette was the NWA commissioner. Toni Storm was Clara Mortensen. Damaris Lewis was Babs Wingo. Naomi was Ethel Johnson. They have Mickie James and Britt Baker in like the background of scenes. It says Mickie James was Moolah, but like there was nothing to her character there, so I don't know. Like, they didn't have big roles or anything there. Mm-hmm. I really hope this takes off, though, like the Iron Claw did.
I still never saw the Iron Claw.
First of all, I thought the Iron Claw was a very well done movie. Obviously, there was a lot of details that were changed to make it more Hollywood. Mm-hmm. I assume that's part of the reason why Gladys Gillum was killed off. But I thought this was a much better movie than the Iron Claw. I hope non-wrestling fans see this. I hope it inspires people to become pro wrestlers. I can't say enough good things about this movie. Mm-hmm. Charlotte Flair and Liv Morgan were originally cast in the roles that Camille and Toni Storm had. And I truly can't picture anyone other than Camille in that role of June Byers.
I think that it's really, I don't know. I feel like sometimes I have trouble getting into these movies, but I also I don't know. They just never grip me in. So hopefully this one, I'll give it a shot.
If you like drama films, if you like period pieces, I would say 100% go out and watch this. If you're like into history and stuff, This is history. It's part of history. Yeah. At one point, she was one of the highest paid women athletes in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll give it a shot.
So go out and see this movie. Truly, go out and see the film.
And yet AEW still didn't want to put Storm and May as your main event, but they wanted to hype up this movie.
Yeah, I don't know how that ended up not as the main event. I truly don't.
Makes sense.
They had cast members from there. That went viral, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so those are my shout-outs. Now it's time for our
Mark Out Moment of the Week.
That is right, our Mark Out Moment of the Week. I'm going to say stick with me here real fast. They announced the DLC for WWE 2K25 last week. And even though the Hardy Boys and the Rascals and Joe Hendry did not make the cut, I think the DLC for this 2K25 game is super solid. The first pack out in May, you have Motor City Machine Guns, you have Julia, you have Stephanie Vaquer, and it says a celebrity to be announced, which if the leak is accurate, it's going to be Travis Scott.
Yeah.
out in June, they have 3 NBA players, and the whole reason why I didn't think the leak was true was because why the hell would there be 3 NBA players in this video game for DLC? But if that leak is true, which I have to believe it probably is, you have Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Halliburton, and Shaquille O'Neal. I have to say at least they're all associated with pro wrestling. I think Shaq is most likely a future WWE Hall of Famer.
I mean... Yeah, I just... It's just so weird to me that they're including these NBA players, but I guess they're trying to get the entire... I don't know, trying to expand a little bit more into the
market.
Yeah, into the marketing, especially with the Pacers and the Knicks, the few that they had in their engagement on SmackDown.
Listen, I have wanted Shaquille O'Neal in a WWE video game for many years now, so I'm happy that Shaq is going to be in there. With the other 2, I really couldn't care less, but if that is going to be them, they better have feud commentary.
Mm-hmm.
They better include everyone that they've been involved with on WWE TV. If you're playing against one another, they better have that kind of commentary. But the other 2 in that pack, someone that people have been asking for years, Great Khali is back in the game. And then one of the most insane announcements for this downloadable content pack, Abyss. That blew my mind seeing Abyss like that.
That's a mark out moment just alone.
I just have to have my fingers crossed that it's the earlier Abyss and not the later red and yellow Abyss.
Red and yellow.
Yeah, or the Decay Abyss. I don't want that Abyss either.
I thought
want,
that the Decay Abyss
shirt.
was...
I want the jeans.
I like the Decay Abyss.
That's not the Abyss I want as DLC. You're introducing him into this series. I don't want that to be... Because he's got his face painted and everything. I just want the mask. I want the mask. I want... You got to get the new weapon for him and everything. Got to get Janice in there.
Yeah, I mean, Abyss was always awesome. It's unfortunate we never got him in action in WWE, but I don't know. Who knows? Maybe we will after this.
I don't think so.
He's
been technically on WWE TV, just not as Abyss, but...
Yeah, and nobody knows it. Most people don't realize that it's Abyss. I think most
people do know it.
I mean, if you know, you know.
They by the way, added for freaking years now, 2 years in a row, Scott Steiner, WCW Scott Steiner has been locked in my faction. It's been a hole in the head to get. I did not get it 2 years ago. Last year for 2K24, I finally just wasted the rest of my faction points to get the Scott Steiner, the NWO Scott Steiner, the week before. Big whoop. I had him for a freaking week. They have him as an unlockable now in My Rise, so it's easier for you to get him. It says 03 Scott Steiner. He has the 03 music, which thank God he has that, but it's his WCW model, which is kind of goofy to me. It's not the WWE 2003 attire.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still happy that we're getting that version of Scott Steiner with the music.
I think that's awesome to have the music. I actually just listened to him being interviewed on the Chris Van Fleet podcast, and he's just such a interesting character at times.
Yeah.
So it's really cool that he is going to be included in the game.
Well, but the reason why I brought that character up is because in July, for the DLC in July, we have Jordan Grace. So technically this would be a TNA superstar because she was not signed when she was in WWE at that point. So I think that's really cool, but it sucks that Petey Williams isn't included in the DLC because we got Steiner, we got Jordan Grace. We're missing little Petey Pump. But you have Penta in that DLC pack, which is fantastic to have him there. Bull Nakano is in there. The leak also said KSI. So I have to believe that KSI is part of this pack. And then probably the one that is the most shocking outside of Abyss that apparently was requested directly by Nick Khan himself is New Jack.
That's such a random inclusion, and for Nick Khan to want
Thank
him
you, Nick
in
Khan.
this.
In 2025, New Jack is in a WWE video game. That literally blows my mind.
Like, is his finisher going to be that he shanks somebody?
I don't know, but it would be really cool if they included a staple gun or something for him. Thumbtacks,
Right?
those Wolverine claws for later years.
Yeah.
That's insane. I hope there's an option to toggle his music on and off through his matches.
Yeah, that would be awesome if they actually played his theme song throughout his matches.
Which, if it's the WWE Network dub version of his theme song, I think that's still a fine theme song. It's not his theme song, but it's still, I think it's very much so the spirit of. And then in September, the next DLC pack, there's an Attitude Era pack with D'Lo and Mark Henry. Obviously, we don't know what versions of D'Lo and Mark Henry there are yet. New Age Outlaws, Billy Gunn making his return to the game. I'm happy about that. Road Dogg making his return. All of them, I should say, are making their return. Probably the longest wait people have been asking for, Victoria. So she's finally back. I'm happy to have all of them.
When was the last time she was even in a game?
Maybe 2006, maybe?
Yeah, it's been a while.
2005. I'm not 100% sure. Could be later than that, too, though. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And then in November, the final DLC pack, Jesse Ventura, who I thought was going to be the pre-order bonus for sure, but it turned out to be the Wyatt 6. Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff, who I hope is the WCW version. Most likely it's not. It's a Saturday Night's Main Event pack. Tito Santana, Junkyard Dog, Sid Justice, who Sid should have probably already been in the game. Junkyard Dog I've been wanting for years now, so I'm happy with that. Outside, overall, I would have preferred if Travis Scott, KSI, Jalen Brunson, and Tyrese Halliburton were not in the game. But, I'm so satisfied with everybody in this DLC. The fact that we're getting, like I said, Abyss and New Jack is just incredible.
It is. It's wild that we're going to have New Jack and Abyss in a WWE game.
It'd be really awesome if they figured out thumbtacks.
Yeah.
Other mark out moments. I guess to hype up Roadblock at Madison Square Garden, they had Stephanie Vaquer, Obafemi, and Ethan Page at the Rangers game on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
You marked out this week, didn't you?
Yeah, Liv Morgan. I believe she was on Kelly Clarkson.
On the Brooke Shields show at that point, right?
Yeah. Yep. So Liv Morgan was there. I marked out over those appearances at the Rangers game. And, of course, I've been on a hook of listening to the Chris Van Fleet podcast, so hearing his interview with people like Lex Luger and Danhausen and everything. And
you mentioned Lex Luger. It was announced that Lex Luger is getting inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I definitely marked out for Lex Luger being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Especially, I was a big fan of Lex Luger growing up as a kid. I don't know, call me crazy, but I fell for that entire Lex Express gimmick. I fell for it. Maybe I was just in the proper age range to connect to it. And maybe if I was older, it would have not connected with me like probably majority of the fans. But
in my head, I just confused two different videos. Because WWE just released a whole history of the Lex Express, a collective video thing. On the flip side of that, Disney, they uploaded a 4-hour monorail, ASMR basically sort of thing. Mm-hmm. I forget what the exact thing is called. And I was going to say, WWE just uploaded a 4-hour Lex Express drive-along thing. But I got the two videos confused in my head. But it's great to see that Lex Luger is getting inducted. He and DDP were sitting there talking, and then Cody Rhodes interrupted to give him that news. He's been saying that he wants DDP and Sting at the Hall of Fame, so
yeah, maybe
really
we'll have
to see Sting induct him.
I know, hopefully we'll have Sting induct him, and the only thing I care more about than Sting and DDP is I really want to see Lex Luger walk to the stand. Like I could see DDP at the at the wheelchair, and have Sting at the podium, and have Lex Luger stand up from the wheelchair and walk his way over to the stand to meet Sting at the podium.
I mean, the way that he shot up from that chair to hug Cody Rhodes, I feel like it's possible.
Yeah, they've been building up that leg strength and everything. We just spoke about him, last week? Yeah.
Or 2 weeks ago, maybe?
Yeah. Hopefully. I hope that Sid gets inducted this year, too. Are they adding anybody else?
Well, it's rumored that the Natural Disasters were going to be going in.
I did see that. That I'm very happy about, too. I mean, once again, I was a kid. I was a fan of the gimmicks.
But the only three that we officially know at this time of recording, Triple H, Lex Luger, and Michelle McCool.
Yeah. It would be cool if Natural Disasters got added, and I would say Psycho Sid. That'd be cool.
So those are our Mark Out moments of the week. Thank you so much for listening to Markin Out episode 736. Check us out on Twitter at Markin Out, at BTTG161 on both platforms. Chris Sweendog, CM Sweeney85, David PTDPT on all platforms. Facebook.com/MarkinOut, YouTube and Instagram MarkinOut11. ProWrestlingTees.com/MarkinOut if you'd like to support us that way. At Markin Out on TikTok, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, iHeartRadio, MarkinOut.com, YouTube, and we wish you
the best of luck in your future endeavors.
Have a fantastic week.